Let me tell you something. Even if you walk around doing all types of affirmations of I love myself, I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that, until you work on your self-esteem, all that stuff is not gonna matter. Do you beat yourself up when you make mistakes or very simple mistakes? Do you even know the difference between making a mistake and making a simple mistake? Or do you feel bad about everything? Do you sabotage? I need to make a specific podcast on this. Like, do you sabotage? When good things happen to you, do you feel like you don't deserve it? So you just like quickly mess it up because you're not used to taking care of good things. Do you get offended easily? Do you think other people are better than you? Do you compare yourself to other people and you live off of their praise, or you live off of other people watching you and things like that, and off of attention? All of these are signs that you may have low self-esteem. So let's keep going. Hello, welcome to the Live Your Essence podcast. I'm Sabrina Kumwa, your host, and I'm a speaker, singer, and software engineer. On this podcast, we talk about walking in our purpose, enjoying the journey of growth, and approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Live Your Essence is your space to partner with your God-given uniqueness to build a life you truly love. Now, let's dive into this episode. This year, I urge you, solve the real problem. Because yes, you may want to be more confident, but until you have self-esteem, all your efforts to be confident are probably going to be in vain. And I don't want you to spend a lot of time reading books and watching videos about becoming more confident when you really need to work on your self-esteem. I know this from experience, you guys, okay? Because confidence and self-esteem are different. And the reason most people aspire to become more confident is because confidence looks sexy. It looks aspirational. It looks inspiring. When you see a confident person, you're like, wow, I really want to be like this person. Like, oh my God, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Like, that's what confidence looks like. We want to become like them. And so we hurry up and then we get on our New Year's resolution list and we put becoming more confident. Like, I want to be more confident. The problem with that, however, is that if you have low self-esteem, the confidence that you acquire, it's not going to stick. Or it's going to semi-stick. Or you're going to look confident, but you're not going to feel it inside. You're not going to feel it inside. And let me tell you something. Even if you walk around doing all types of affirmations of I love myself, I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that, until you work on your self-esteem, all that stuff is not going to matter. Listen to me. I'm speaking from experience. I've always been a confident person by most people's standards, okay? I looked confident, I sound confident, I did a lot of confident things. I was and I am a very confident person. However, last year, I realized that I had low self-esteem. And that's when I discovered that self-esteem is about your perception of yourself. What is your estimation of yourself? That's why it's called self-esteem. What do you esteem of yourself? If that made sense. I don't know if that's a real sentence, but whatever. Your self-esteem, you can think of it as the glue, the internal glue, and that your confidence is the outer shell. You can keep building and building and building and building and building your confidence, but if the glue is not going to hold it in together, then honestly, there's like no point. Having a lot of confidence looks like being a giant. But what point is there to being a giant if the slightest flick of a finger, the slightest little thing that touches you can just topple you right down? It's like David and Goliath. What's the point of being so big and intimidating and being this big Goliath if David can just come and throw a little rock at you and you're toppled down? That's what it looks like when you are confident, but you don't have self-esteem. That gives way to things like imposter syndrome. So you have the dream job, but you don't feel like you belong. You have money, but you're not internally fulfilled. You have all these things, but nothing seems to satisfy you. And that's because you have low self-esteem. This year, I really want you to focus on growing your self-esteem, because growing my self-esteem has allowed me to enjoy my confidence and to fully embody it. So break this down a little further. Self-confidence is your ability to know that you can do something and do it well. That's why it's possible for you to be confident in one aspect of your life or in one area of your life without being confident in another area of your life. For example, you could be a confident driver because you know how to drive, but you're not a confident singer because you don't know how to sing. You could be a confident speaker, but you're not a confident test taker because you get nervous when you take standardized tests with pressure and stuff like that. Confidence can be developed in different aspects of your life. So it's action based, it's contextual, and it's something that can be developed over time. Self-esteem can also be developed over time, but it looks different than confidence, like I just explained. I know I already gave you a bunch of examples, but I'm going to just list a few things, and if you can resonate, if it resonates with you, if you can relate to any of this, then maybe you have low self-esteem and you should keep listening to this podcast and watching this video. If you feel guilty for doing the things that are important to you, if you feel guilty when you disappoint people, if you feel guilty when you do something bad, if you're not able to quickly forgive yourself. I'm not saying that it's bad to feel guilty per se, but how long do you stay in that feeling? Like, do you beat yourself up when you make mistakes or very simple mistakes? Do you even know the difference between making a mistake and making a simple mistake, or do you feel bad about everything? Do you sabotage? I need to make a specific podcast on this. Like, do you sabotage? When good things happen to you, do you feel like you don't deserve it? So you just like quickly mess it up because you're not used to taking care of good things. Do you get offended easily? Do you think other people are better than you? Do you compare yourself to other people and you live off of their praise, or you live off of other people watching you and things like that, and off of attention? All of these are signs that you may have low self-esteem. So let's keep going. So you've probably been waiting for this. How do I grow my self-esteem, Sabrina? Thank you very much for the illustrations and the examples. Now I'm trying to know, how can I grow my self-esteem? Because I want my confidence to stick. I don't want to build my confidence on a sandy foundation. I want to build my confidence on something more solid than that, right? I'm gonna tell you guys the truth, okay? I'm gonna just tell you guys the truth. In order to grow your self-esteem, you have to become radically honest with yourself. You have to face your shame. Because low self-esteem is rooted in a feeling of trying to avoid shame. You're trying to avoid the feeling of embarrassment that you have, and you're trying to avoid shame. It's a lot easier to say, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person, I suck at that, than to be like, dang, I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. Do you see the difference between I'm such a terrible person and dang, I dropped the ball? I'm such a terrible person is the extreme view of I dropped the ball, but it's a more comfortable way of thinking about yourself, because you would rather believe that you suck because you don't want to look at yourself in the mirror and admit to yourself that you don't actually completely suck, but you sucked this one time. And now you have to face the consequences of you sucking this one time. Think about that for a second, okay? Let's just think about that for a second. Because it's easy to go to the extremes. It's easy to be like, I'm an amazing person all the time, and I'm a terrible person. I suck. It's very easy to live in the extremes. What's harder to do for most people is living in the nuance and the complexities of what makes us human. We don't want to face our shame. Like, we don't want to go in front of the mirror and be like, wow, what you did was very ugly. This was very ugly. But you're still deserving of good things. The ugliness that you, whatever happened, the embarrassment, the secondhand embarrassment that you feel about yourself. Yeah, because I think that's the thing. That energy of embarrassment is more uncomfortable than saying, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person, like, and just beating yourself down. And so listen, if you want to grow your self-esteem this year, which I highly recommend you do if you want to become more confident, is accepting the truth. Accept the truth about yourself, and not the extreme truth of like, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person, I suck, because that's not the truth. Just accept the truth that you have work to do. Accept the truth that you are a work in progress. Accept the truth of the mistakes you've made, but don't allow these mistakes to define you, because that's not the truth anymore. Don't avoid it. Don't avoid the feeling of discomfort and the feeling of shame. Look at the shame in the mirror and just sit with it. Don't run away from it. Just sit with the shame. Just sit with the feeling. Listen, I've learned how to do this, and now when I feel ashamed or embarrassed about something, I just sit with it, and the feeling actually goes away. It's when you try to avoid it and you turn it into something greater in your mind that you make things more complex and more complicated for yourself. So if you want to grow your self-esteem, you have to become radically honest about yourself. When you make mistakes, Don't beat yourself down, because guess what? That's not going to solve the mistakes that you made. What hurts, do the thing that hurts. Sit down and be like, dang, I really messed this up. How can I fix it? What can I do better? Because in order to fix something and to do better, you have to be willing to face the damage and the ugliness of whatever it is you just created. You have to be willing to face that. And that's how you can grow your self-esteem. Because once you start doing that and being radically honest about yourself, you're going to start developing more self-compassion. Self-compassion is your ability to be kind to yourself, to be more understanding towards yourself. And so it's very connected to self-esteem, right? All of that is part of the self-esteem atmosphere, so to speak. You need self-compassion to grow your self-esteem. You need to be able to look at your mistakes and not run away from them, because determining that you're a terrible person and that you suck at everything and going to that extreme is actually a shortcut. You're trying to avoid the problem, because to fix problems, you have to look at them. And if you're trying to run away by determining that you're a terrible person and nothing can be done, you're actually taking the easy way out. No. It's like, come here. Sit down. Look at yourself in the mirror and look at what you did, or look at where you're trying to go, or look at the situation, but just face it. Face it. Honesty and truth will set you free. Jesus said the truth will set you free. You have to face the truth. You can't avoid accountability within yourself. Don't avoid accountability within yourself. Okay, so that's the first way that you can grow your self-esteem. The second thing is the second thing that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do to grow in your self-esteem is to remove people from the pedestals that you've placed them on. Because self-esteem is relational, right? If you were the only person on earth, you probably wouldn't have low self-esteem. If you're alone in the world, there's no social media, there's no one to really compare yourself to. You're just the only person there. So self-esteem inherently is a relational concept. Like, it has to do with how much you think of other people, or where you rate other people in your mind, and how you rate yourself compared to those people. The reason a lot of us are having low self-esteem is because we're exposed to too many people's lives on social media, right? We're exposed to so much going on. And so we start thinking that we are less deserving, or we start feeling as if we need other people's attention and validation to make us feel important and to make us feel like we're doing something right with our lives, or that we're not behind in life, or things like that. And all these things contribute to low self-esteem, because all these things shape the way you start thinking about yourself, which is what self-esteem is, right? And so you need to start removing people from the pedestals that you put them on. And that is very connected to the first point which I shared, which is look at the truth. Because the truth is, a lot of these people are not better than you. The truth is, we are not better than one another. Okay? We're all human. And so that's the truth. We all need God. Like, everybody needs to calm down. God is up there. We're down here. Don't start putting people in the God place in your heart. Like, don't start thinking that people are better than you and they're smarter. I mean, well, yeah, they can be smart. That's a different topic. But like, stop thinking that people are inherently worth more than you. That's crucial to developing your self-esteem, because it's going to allow you to forgive people. You're not going to be shocked when someone that you thought would never hurt you hurts you, and you're like, oh my God, they did this because they hate me, or like they hate me, or you're gonna stop thinking that people hate you, okay? Because you're gonna put people where they need to be in your heart and in your mind. You're not gonna be surprised when people that you never thought could hurt you do something really messed up, and you're just like, now, why would you do that? Like, you're not going to think that way, because like, you rate people the same. Okay. Like, I've had someone that I really admire. This was a while ago. I've had someone that I really admire, like someone that I looked up to, just disappoint me and like do something that really got me thinking about, why did I put that person on a pedestal? They're human after all. So yeah, in order to heal your self-esteem, you need to realize that everybody's human, okay? So don't put people way up there. And by doing that, by removing people from the pedestal that you place them on, you're also going to what? Guess what? see yourself clearly. Because if people are blocking your view to the mirror that you could be looking at yourself in, you're not going to be able to see yourself clearly because people are going to be in your way, mentally speaking. So put the celebrities down, put your leaders down, your mentors down, your role models down, put everybody on an equal playing field. Yes, be inspired by people. Yes, love people, respect people, admire people. I'm not saying you can't be a fan, but keep people where they need to be in your mind. That's how you grow your self-esteem. And then when everyone is like on an equal footing, you start feeling important too. And then that's when we get to the third part. Enforce your boundaries. But you can't enforce your boundaries if you don't look at yourself honestly. You can't enforce your boundaries if you don't put people where they need to be. Because if you don't do that first and then you try to set boundaries, you're always going to feel guilty about your boundaries. You're not going to realize that you are deserving of respect and that you are deserving of people treating you a certain kind of way. And so that's why it's very important to see yourself clearly and to see others clearly before you start going into things like setting your boundaries. And accept the needs that you have. That comes from admitting your faults to yourself and looking at yourself clearly in the mirror when other people are not in your way. You can start understanding, what are my needs? What do I need in a relationship? What do I need in a job? What do I need in my life? Like, what do I need? What are my needs, right? When you have a clear picture of your needs and you do the things that you need to do in order to respect your needs, you start growing in your self-esteem. Because ultimately, self-esteem is a measure of how much you honor yourself and your truth, and how much you honor who God made you to be, and how much you honor your needs. If you have needs that are not being met and you just like act like that doesn't exist, because you're not being radically honest with yourself. You're not trying to face the shame that you let somebody walk over you. You're not trying to face the shame that you allowed someone to hurt you. It's okay. You have to face that shame. And that's how, by facing that shame, you can understand your own needs better. And then you can make the steps necessary to enforce your boundaries or do whatever it is that you need to do. So my camera cut the recording. And anyway, I don't want this video and this podcast to be too long anyway. So I'm going to end this here. But please let me know in the comments if you learned anything at all and what you're going to be doing this year to improve your self-esteem and to grow in your self-esteem. In the future, I'm going to make a video about improving your self-confidence or more videos around these topics. So please make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you're listening to this episode on one of your favorite podcast platforms, please make sure to add this podcast to your favorites and to rate the podcast and to share it with your friends and family. And of course, hope you have an amazing new year. Don't forget to live your essence. Bye.